Because while there's ceasefire in Kyiv, in the city of Irpin, that's just 26 kilometers off Kyiv, the war still rages on. Russia is mounting its attack on the city of Irpin into a city of rubble now. Plumes of smoke, debris and civilians fleeing for their lives. Irpin is under heavy distress. India Today gets you this exclusive ground report from a checkpoint there.
This is the road to Irpin, and this is a very crucial checkpoint where you see people desperately running away from the battle zone of Irpin. Multiple checkpoints here. As you can see, you have the Ukrainian army that is deployed here. You have the militia who are deployed here. And every few minutes, there are ambulances that rush in from Irpin carrying injured soldiers and those who are desperate to leave. For example, one more emergency vehicle has just fetched up. It is bringing in people from Irpin. The International Red Cross also has food, medicines, water, doctors all on standby at this entry point. In vehicles and in hundreds, people are trying to flee Irpin at this point of time. Whatever vehicle they may get, they try to rush to this point and hoping to get out of here, hoping to get to safety. The problem is the ceasefire that has been announced in several other parts of Ukraine, especially Kyiv and Mariupol, and Sumy and Kharkiv, that's not holding in this part. Beyond these points, firing is intense, shelling is intense, and even here, every few minutes, people are asked to vacate this area because of the firing and shelling that is taking place. Just a short while back, we had a number of ambulances that had fetched up with some injured soldiers and civilians. You could see those injured soldiers and civilians here. Beyond these checkpoints, only if you are an accredited journalist are you permitted to go beyond this. India Today team is also trying to get to Irpin to get you much more on what's happening on ground. The images are horrifying. The picture is extremely scary with several buildings targeted in the shelling. We are told that there are pitched battles on at this point of time, not very far from where we are on this road to Irpin. Barely 14 minutes from where we are standing right now. 14 minutes from here is where the Russian soldiers and the Ukrainian soldiers are literally fighting for the control of the roadhead. And from the roadhead, the Russians want to advance further. But the Ukrainian army is holding them back. As of now, some injured people have been brought in, and they are both soldiers and civilians. Those who require emergency treatment, there are several ambulances that are on standby here. And if you see these long queue of buses, all these buses have been brought.
Russia has declared a ceasefire in 4 cities of Ukraine, which, like you just heard, Maria, who's an MP, says is or claims that is being violated by Russia. But the said ceasefire in 4 cities of Kyiv, Mariupol, Kharkiv and Sumy. This after intensifying their attack across the country, particularly in Kharkiv. Ukraine claims that Russia has intensified shelling in cities of north, center and south of the country. Russia has made advances in southern Ukraine and along the coast, facing relentless resistance from Ukraine. A barrage of missiles struck the Vinnytsia airport on Sunday, reducing the airport to ruins. Massive fire raged on at the airport site as the firefighting efforts are underway in Vinnytsia. In Luhansk, visuals have emerged of a massive fire. According to reports, an oil depot is on fire. With each passing hour, the Russian forces are inching towards the capital city of Kyiv, but are facing stiff resistance by the Ukrainian counterparts. Meanwhile, President Zelensky said the sanctions on Russia by the West is not enough.
Зухвалість агресора – це чіткий сигнал для Заходу, що застосованих проти Росії санкцій недостатньо, бо там не зрозуміли, не відчули, не побачили, що світ дійсно рішучий, дійсно прагне зупинити цю війну. Ви не сховаєтесь від цієї реальності, ви не сховаєтесь від нових вбивств в Україні.
Meanwhile, India Today's Shiva Roor spoke exclusively to Sergei Kruglik, advisor to Kyiv governor. Listen in.
Sergei Kruglik joins me live from Kyiv. He's the advisor to the governor of Kyiv, and he's given us his time. Sergei, good to see you. You're on the streets of Kyiv right now. There is supposed to be a ceasefire, Sergei, in Kyiv. Is it in operation?
Yes.
What is the situation in the city right now?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm not in Kyiv. I'm in Lviv. It's western part of Ukraine.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I cannot go back to Kiev because the militaries and armament Russian troops are staying on the way to Kiev, so I cannot go back. I'm working here in Lviv, and as you see, it's thousands and thousands of people. They left their own homes and they're going further to the west, to Poland, to Europe, other European countries. There's a railway station, main Lviv railway station, and thousands of people are waiting possibility to get on the train or on the bus. We have the buses, trains, and private cars to go further. It's the first thing. As to the Kiev, in Kiev, still situation under control. Even with the missiles, 10 times minimum a day,
Yes.
missiles from Russian troops. We have our defenders to shooting missiles. And now I can tell one thing. Do not trust any word of Russians. They're lying all the time. So first we agreed about ceasefires for the humanitarian people, in giving possibility to go out of Mariupol and Kharkov and other city, and then they start shooting on civilians. It's awful. It's a criminals. It's genocide of Ukrainian people, and Putin and the whole government and the whole political government of Russia lying all the time to everybody. They closed all the TV lines. They closed all internet. No Facebooks, no TikToks, no Telegram, nothing. They isolated themselves, and the people still believe that they have a kind of operation. It's a war. It's a war in Ukraine, and already 1.2 million left their own homes,
Yes.
and they immigrated to Europe, to different European countries, mostly in Poland. But from other side, Russians, they don't say their own people, about more than 11,000 Russian soldiers that already died near the Kiev, Mariupol, Kharkov, Zaporozhye, Chernihiv, Sumy, and other cities.
Sergey?
More than 11,000 Russian soldiers already died, and their mothers, they don't know where their sons are today, because Russia completely isolated, and they don't say a word about this war to their own people. We have to stop these criminals. First of all, we need to close the sky over Ukraine that protects airway, to stop bombing. We have bombing of the cities every day. We have missiles shooting at our civilians in our cities every day. So we have to close the sky. We have to push all the government of European countries, of NATO, United States, and other influence government to close the sky and to help Ukraine to protect themselves and to defend themselves. It's now we defending not only our victory, our freedom, we defending democracy and freedom of all Europeans and all over the world.
Here's now a report by Geeta Mohan from Kiev. She tried on a bulletproof jacket and the gear that several citizens and women in Ukraine are donning now. Take a look. Marine Corps, a crucial part of the Ukrainian forces. The gentleman over here is going to show how the women in the Marine Corps wear the bulletproof jackets. A very heavy one. Are you going to demonstrate? He wants me to wear it and see. An experience for myself. Oh my God, that is heavy. That is really heavy. So this is what the women in the Ukrainian armed forces wear. It's pretty heavy. And then okay, that's what he does. Okay, and then the helmet. Yes, that's standing with Ukraine. Standing with Ukraine. And then, okay.
Обнав mucho para nos, ne?
See, it's interesting. The gentlemen over here, all right, but they're from the Marine Corps, so they're not going to show us our face, their faces. So he's covered it because he was helping me. He's covered his face and he's come here. Okay, I'm not going to hold. Do you want me to hold a gun as well?
Yes.
I've never held. Oh, good Lord. Okay, so this is pretty difficult. Is this how it goes? My God. So this is how the women. Oh, I can't breathe. You need tremendous amount of training to be able to do this. To be able to hold a gun, to be able to wear this life jacket, this vest, this bulletproof vest, and the helmet, which is also pretty heavy, and then go into combat to fight for Ukraine against the Russians. With Kuldeep.
Thank you.
In one of the camps over here. In Kiev, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
Meanwhile, many women have volunteered to help civilians. Out of them, some are medics, while others are territorial defense fighters. Here's a report that shows how the women fight and help bravely side by side with men.
Allah says that there are a lot of women in her separate unit, her department, and what they do now is they take care of procurement of the armed forces. They also have like a media relationship unit, and she says that also in her department a lot of actually girls and women are working. And let's ask Allah about weapon. Do they really carry weapons? Скажіть, будь ласка, чи у вас, я бачу магазини, а сама зброя ви носите з собою?
Так, у нас є особиста зброя. У мене, наприклад, є пістолет, у мене є автомат, але тут є правила, і ми ці правила поважаємо. Ми сюди заходимо без озброї. Ну, так як це ж таки волонтерський пункт, то тут не має бути зброї.
So Allah says that she does have a handgun, she has a machine gun. Here are the parts of these guns, but she says they really obey the rules. Yeah, they really obey the rules of the volunteer center, which says you enter without weapon. And now we will go out and she will show us her weapon. So yeah. So now we are going with Allah, and she's ready to show us her weapon and how she uses it. So she's getting ready, she's putting her helmet on, she has her camouflage equipment on, and she will show us her weapon. So, да, можете його там, не знаю, чи показати, пересмикнути цей затвор, чи якось так. Що безпечно робити?
Він заряджений, як я вам пересмикну?
А, боже, сорі, зняти, коротше, вони хочуть якісь робити. Можемо? Yeah, so this is how Allah is preparing for war. She's always ready. Allah, who is the military in the supporting unit of Ukrainian armed forces. Да, that's okay. So thank you Allah very much for showing us. Слава Україні!